I just don't want any of this kind of shit to happen to me ever. 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 Well, hello. I have been gone for a really long time. Oops. Life got very overwhelming for a while there, and I feel like I blinked and all of a sudden it's 3 months later and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened? But I really wanted to get back at it. I've been missing filming and editing and just like putting something together. So today is the day. I'm here. You're here. Thank you for being here. I hope you stick around. I know I'm talking a lot, but it's just been so long. I don't remember how to do it. Okay, so the types of videos I've been really wanting to film lately are kind of like more the storytelling videos. I've been watching a lot of those and enjoying them, and it made me just want to dive down into a Reddit rabbit hole once again. I tried one of these videos before and I didn't do that well with it, but I think I can do better. I hope so. So let's give it another whirl. I'm thinking creepy encounters. I'm thinking let's not meet. Why am I talking like that? So I'm gonna grab my phone. Let's get to it. And I'm actually filming with a real camera right now instead of my phone. So I'm excited. A little nervous because I don't know if this camera's gonna give me some sort of issues. I really hope not. Oh, please. Please, I don't need it. Oh no, it's not focusing on me. Hello? Hello? Get me. Oh, jeez. Why? Why? It was fine. It's been fine. Oh, did it get me? There we go. Let's take a whack at it, shall we? So this first story is called Alone at a Storage on Christmas Night. So I was organizing some stuff in storage on Christmas night because I was planning to move out around New Year's. I share a storage unit with my mom and dad in a kind of sketch area of town, but a part of town I knew nonetheless. All my stuff was in the back of the unit, so I had to do a lot of lifting and moving. It was getting dark and I was the only one left in the storage lot. Our unit's on the outside lot. As I was taking stuff out and getting it ready for the move the next few days, I see a man come out of the inner storage lot inside the building. I kind of got a sketchy vibe from the dude, but he seemed homeless, so I said happy holidays as he asked for help. But I insisted I can do this on my own. He then left and I continued moving stuff back into storage. There was a lot of shit I had to move, so I knew I needed to hurry. The guy then shows up again and approaches me closer and he goes,
"You sure you don't need help?"
And I said, I'm good, but thank you. Then he goes,
"Look, I need help moving stuff into my storage. Can you open the door for me to the inner lot?"
At that moment I knew something wasn't right. I then declined, saying I needed to get home as it was important, to which he said,
"I think what I need to do is more important."
My anxiety started kicking in hardcore. I had no idea what to do. I finished packing up my stuff. I finished packing my stuff and clutching my keys to the car to get out. I locked my storage unit and then struck up a conversation. Tried to keep my cool because I had no idea if this man had a gun or a knife on him, so I said I would help him, but I had a plan to start running, had my phone ready, and made sure he stayed ahead of me. I then told a fib that my mother was sick and today was a hard day, to which the guy started to be more friendly and nice. He then stops before we get to the door and goes,
"Actually, I don't need your help."
At that moment, I knew I used my wit to its advantage. He felt empathy, and I started walking away. He then asked for a ride, and I said I couldn't do that. I started walking faster, and he followed me and said,
"Please."
Then asked why I looked so stressed and worried. I then got in my car, and he started knocking on my window. I rolled it down and said, "Happy Holidays." Then drove my ass to the gate that I had to enter a code into, and got out of there. I knew that he was going to mug me or rob me, or possibly worse. All I know is I'm investing in some self-defense weapons, as that was the most terrifying thing in my life. I work the night shift at my new job, and this kind of shit gives me the heebie-jeebies because it's so dark when I leave the building and go into the parking lot. I'm always like key in hand, speed walking to the car. I just don't want any of this kind of shit to happen to me ever. 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 Okay, let's find another story. Okay, so this one's called A Homeless Man Didn't Listen to the Voices. I lived in Tacoma, Washington for about 3 years right after turning 18. I took the first job I could find, which was at a Pizza Hut. Oh, fuck, that sounds so good. I've been eating a lot today, but I'm still hungry. I lived in downtown Tacoma, and this particular store was towards the south end of Tacoma. I had to take the bus to and from work every day. Because of where the store was situated, we had a lot of homeless people around. I think every one of these stories so far involved a homeless person. This one day, years ago, I got off the bus and crossed the street once, then waited for the pedestrian light to signal me across to the plaza where I worked. As I'm waiting patiently, this homeless gentleman, he had the long hair, beard, dirty clothes, weathered face, came up beside me. I assumed he was waiting to cross the street as well, so I smiled politely and said good morning. He didn't reply, just stared at me. At this point, I'm a little weirded out, but it wasn't unusual to see people tripping balls out there. I assumed he was just out of it. Then he leaned to the left a little, I was on his right, and bent his ear down like he was listening to someone. He glanced back up at me, looked around at all the cars and the people that were out and about early in the morning, looked back at me, then looked to the left and proceeded to announce to the air, "No, I can't do that right now. Someone will see." When the light told me to go, I went. After I got to the store, I looked back, and the homeless dude was walking back the way he came from. So, to homeless dude, thank you for not listening to whoever was telling you to do whatever. Like, what the fuck did they say? What did they say to you, sir? That's so creepy. Alright, so this one is called Crazy Guy Who Tried to Kidnap My Sister. So by the title, you can probably guess that this is my sister's story. My mom and sister went out to get KFC for dinner for the family and brought one of my sister's friends along. When they came home, my sister was in tears. Apparently, they arrived at KFC, mom and sister's friend went inside to get the food while my sister stayed in the car. She was looking down at her phone when all of a sudden she said she heard a knock on the window next to her. She looked up expecting it to be our mom or her friend coming back to the car. Instead, she saw a dirty-looking older man who looked homeless. He had dirty, unkempt hair and dirty gray beard, so just very dirty. From her own words, he looked like a tweaked-out Santa Claus. Luckily, all the doors were locked, but the man kept knocking on the glass saying,
"Let me in,"
before violently yanking on the door handle. My sister screamed at him to leave her alone, which only made him angrier, and he began trying to bash the window out with his elbow. My sister called 911 after seeing that my mom had left her cell phone in the car. The man was still tugging on the door and attempting to break the window and cursing at the top of his lungs. The worst part about it, too, was that during all of this, not one person stopped to help my sister, even though there were plenty of people around, as it was only like 5 p.m. The police were there within seconds, and the man was still at the car trying to get in. At this point, my mom and my sister's friend came running out to the car after seeing the commotion. Apparently, KFC was really busy this night, and it took a while to get the food. The man was arrested and taken to jail, and we never saw him again, thankfully. That's what's so scary, is that people don't care these days. They will do anything at any point. It doesn't even have to be nighttime. Like, I was just, creeped out about nighttime because it's nighttime. But at any point during the day. I watched this video the other day of, security footage inside a Dollar General or something like that. And so this mom and daughter were in there. And this guy just grabbed the girl and just started dragging her, trying to take her. And the mom's pulling her back. They're literally playing tug of war with this girl, who was probably 12 or 13. I don't really know. I'm bad at ages. But just being okay, I'm gonna use the word brave very loosely, but being brave enough to to just try to snatch a young girl in broad daylight while her mother is literally fighting you. That shit is so scary. I need my water, but I don't want to get up.
12 seconds later.
We hydrate. I caved and got my water. Look how big it is. Okay, am I nuts? Alright. Loud. Okay. Alright, I'm hoping my camera will last through this whole story because this one's kind of long. I had to, kind of hang out and wait for my camera to stop being, too fucking hot. It was overheating. So it might be my last one I read, too. I don't know. But I moved on to the Let's Not Meet subreddit, and this one is called I Had a Lovely Time with the Two Ladies at the Front Desk. I've been debating whether or not to post here or on r/Tales from the Front Desk. I gotta check that one out. I'm a receptionist as well, so I deal with some weird shit. But this story honestly seems more appropriate for Let's Not Meet. I'm 20 years old and a front desk agent at a mid-range hotel in a small East Coast city. I'm a full-time student at the university and live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood made up of mostly college students. At the hotel, I've had to deal with a fair amount of unpleasant or creepy people, since a young woman in a customer service job seems like an easy target. I was used to old ladies yelling at me or inappropriately aged men making remarks on my appearance like, "You have just the most adorable smile," or "I'm sure you're a heartbreaker," and I've usually been able to deflect. I relate. Literally every shift. And for me, since I have a baby face, it's like, "Oh, you're 12? They got kids working in here?" Oh my god, I feel like this person is me. She goes, "When I work on weekdays, I'm always on the 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift. That's not my shift, but I have the nighttime shift too. When I work on weekdays, I'm always on the 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift where we handle check-ins. It was a slow night where we only had 28 check-ins to deal with, and by 8 p.m., my coworker Mindy and I had done all our tasks and were leaning over the front desk chatting and watching the news. We only had a handful of check-ins left, so we kicked back with our deck of cards and Chinese takeout all over the desk. A younger man checked in, and I remember thinking he was cute-ish, but definitely looked Republican. He had neat blonde hair, a boyish smile, and a weak chin, and was wearing khakis and a quarter-zip sleeve. We had a pretty regular interaction, save for him making a lot of eye contact and smiling, and he went to his room. About a half an hour later, he came back down and asked us where he could get alcohol. We told him the convenience store across the street had beer and wine, and he and I joked a little about how it was closing soon, so he'd better run there. When he came back, he slid a 40-ounce across the desk towards me. With my customer service smile of vague cluelessness, I said, "What's this?"
It's for you.
He leaned against the desk. Front desk agents had to stand up, so the top tier of the desk was about chest height, and when he leaned over, he was right in my face. "Oh, I can't drink that now, but thank you. I think you should be the one to enjoy that." He was insistent, and I agreed I would take it to drink after work, and I went into the office and put it with Mindy's stuff. She'd appreciate the free alcohol, but I didn't feel good about drinking a 40 from some too friendly guy. He hung around the desk for a while. Mindy's the type of person who can keep someone talking for hours even if they don't want to, because her brain never runs out of content and she treats everyone like she's known them for years. This meant that this guy, who I'll call Mr. Hanson, wasn't leaving anytime soon. He kept glancing over at me and trying to smile, but it was getting late, my feet hurt, and all I wanted was to be at home, in my underwear, rolling a spliff, and my cats all around me, instead of allowing some 35-year-old to think he could flirt. At one point, Mindy had to make a phone call, so he slid down the desk toward me. I looked up with my customer service smile back on. "So, go to a small liberal arts college, do you?" My uniform shirt was short sleeved, so you could see a couple of tattoos on my arm, and I have a nose piercing, so I assumed that, and the music theory homework I was working on informed his guess. "No, haha, I go to the University of the state we're in. The city's main attraction besides its hippies and breweries. The city's main attraction besides its hippies and breweries was my college, a pretty good state school, so it was somewhat surprising he didn't assume I went there instead." He was sizing me up, and I prayed that Mindy would be done with her phone call soon. He started talking about his experience at his southern university, and how he was a veteran, but got injured so he lived off pension or something, and didn't work and was just touring New England right now. The conversation somehow turned to his love life, but I'm pretty sure I was so spaced out by that point, thinking about how I was going to eat at least an entire frozen pizza when I got home, that I didn't pay attention to what he was saying until it was clear he had asked me a question. "Would you do that?" he asked. "Would I do what?" "Get freaked out because I don't work. A lot of the chicks I date think that's weird." I laughed nervously and I said, "I don't know, I don't think so." The hotel was on the smaller side, and I was very aware of the fact that Mindy and I were the only employees in the building right then. He began to ask me probing questions about my love life along the lines of, "Are you single? No? Well, why do you like him? Would you like him if he moved away? Do you think you'll be with him a long time?" The last question freaked me out, and I wish I had asked him to stop asking me personal questions like that, but I'm polite to a fault, even when I'm not working, so I kept smiling and laughing and giving friendly but impersonal answers. "You're very warm," he told me. "Have you ever worked with kids?" He talked about how a lot of the girls he dates back wherever he was from, Ohio maybe, are shallow and materialistic, and how I seemed like such a down-to-earth girl, and I was such a cutie, and did I know about the girl next door trope? "I'm like the girl next door but cool," he told me. At this point, I was physically queasy and uncomfortable but couldn't disengage. Guest reviews are hugely important in the hospitality business, so at this hotel we're strictly trained to let guests treat you however they want. You just can't upset them. It would probably have been reasonable at this point to ask him to leave the front desk, but I felt so helpless, and being assertive with people at work is so against my instinct that it didn't even cross my mind to say anything. Because of this, I had to stay there, listening to this guy and politely accepting compliments. Mindy was on the phone in the back until eventually Sam, our night auditor, arrived, and I realized that this guy had monopolized the entire last 2 hours of my shift, trying to get me to sleep with him and or admit I secretly supported Trump. No. Hoping Mr. Hanson would take this as a cue to leave, I went into the office and got my coat and backpack. When I came back out to witness Sam count the drawer, Mr. Hanson was still standing there. "Well, I hope you have a good night," I said to him. "Are you walking this way?" He gestured down the hallway, which led to all the rooms, as well as the door to the back parking lot. I told him I had parked out front, which thankfully was true, and was able to get to my car successfully. I sat there for a while responding to the texts that had piled up on my phone. It was about a 10-minute drive from the hotel to my apartment downtown, and I noticed that a car was pulling out of the parking lot at the same time I was. It wasn't Mindy's car. She always stayed an extra half hour after her shift technically ended, but there was another hotel next door, so I assumed it was an employee or a guest there. I wasn't too concerned when the Nissan was right behind me, but I noticed it had Florida plates, which a lot of rental cars around here do. I take a weird way to get across town after work, which involves cutting through the University Hospital's enormous, needlessly complex parking lot. It wasn't necessarily a quicker route, but I liked how there were never any cars there at this time of night. The parking lot, as I said, is needlessly complex, which means stoplights, which all turn into blinking yellow lights after 9 p.m., medians and grassy areas, and a lot of twists and turns which all go to very specific buildings and exits. I'm explaining this parking lot in so much detail to express how how strange it was that this rental car was following me this pretty nonsensical route. It's not a way that any kind of maps app would take you, since there are more straightforward streets surrounding the parking lot. I initially assumed it was someone going to the hospital, since it was the only major medical facility in about a 100-mile radius. A lot of people and their families stayed at the hotel who were there for the hospital, so the momentary explanation I gave myself seemed feasible. It was maintaining a polite distance, but it was one of those cars with the ultra-bright LED headlights, which were blinding in my mirrors, so the car was impossible to ignore. It followed me around each turn, and at one point, just to see, I went in a big circle around the south half of the lot. Surely enough, the other car made the same circle. Steady consumption of crime shows, scary movies, and true crime Reddit pages / podcasts have made me a very paranoid person. Serial killers really seem to love college-aged women. So at that point, I picked up that something was probably wrong. I figured I should avoid going back to my real apartment, especially since it's just begging to be broken into, with a lot of windows and a very old front door that opens directly to the outside. Obviously, at this point, I was relatively certain that it was Mr. Hansen. Like I said, I'd had guests cross the line before, making me come out from behind the desk to hug them, touching me when I'm straightening up the lobby, asking the front desk to bring up a towel and answering the door in various states of undress, etc. But I had never been followed or particularly fixated on. I decided that my best bet would be to get back to the hotel. I looped back through town, the Nissan following at a polite distance. I'll reiterate, he was trying to be as discreet as he could, keeping as far behind me as he could while still keeping me in sight. He wasn't trying to intimidate me so much as, I'm not sure, monitor me. Whatever his reasons, I was still afraid. I abandoned the use of turn signals and sped back to the hotel, calling the hotel along the way and asking Sam if he and possibly the security guard we contracted to patrol the property after 11 p.m. could meet me at the front door. We're almost done. When I arrived back at the hotel, I pulled around to the front where Sam and the security guard were standing under the awning, while the Nissan hit the gas to the back lot. I explained the situation, and the security guard went out the back door to look for the car and its driver. When he came back, he said that he spoke to a preppy blonde guy outside who was coming inside. He said he had just been out to smoke a cigarette and was now returning to his room. Security asked him if he'd seen a Nissan with Florida plates, and he said that he hadn't. There wasn't much more we could do at that point. Luckily, I wouldn't be working for a couple of days after Mr. Hansen was set to check out, and we were fully sold that weekend, so he couldn't extend his stay if he wanted to. All guests are asked upon check-in to write down make, model, color, and plate of their vehicle and their registration card. So just to confirm, I pulled his registration card. Sure enough, silver Nissan Altima with Florida plates. Here's what he wrote on his TripAdvisor review. Great stay. Room was clean, breakfast was hot, and that's all I can ask for, lol. The best thing about this, name of the hotel brand, was the staff, though. I had a lovely time with the two ladies at the front desk. My name, especially. A very sweet girl. Hope to be seeing you sooner rather than later. Mr. Hansen, we won't meet because my manager put you on the ban list. I love that. I love when a manager backs up their staff. That's great. Okay, that one was very long, but it was so well written. I really liked that one. And I tried to, add a little zhuzh. I'm going to do just one more. Okay, so this one is called, Why Are You Girls Running? We Just Want to Have Some Fun with Y'all. My cousin recently reminded me of a memory I suppressed because it was one of the most terrifying moments of my childhood. I'm from Texas, so we hardly ever get snow days, so when we did, I always tried to take advantage. When I was in 6th grade, my school shut down for 2 snow days. This never happened. It was a miracle. On one of the days, my cousin came over, and we decided to walk to my old elementary school to go play at the park. It was about 4 blocks away from my house. I lived in the neighborhood for years, so I knew someone on almost every block. This is important for later. I always felt safe, and I knew the neighborhood, so walking to the park with my cousin was no big deal. We got to the park, and surprisingly, we were the only 2 people there. We moved from the playground to the field behind the playground. To kind of explain the layout, we entered the playground from the back parking lot. So we had to walk through the parking lot, or the field next to it, to get to the playground. There was a dumpster in the parking lot that was against a brick wall. I can't. Are you following? Hold on. Am I stupid? Wait. Back parking lot. Playground. Field next to the playground. Dumpster and parking lot against a brick wall. I don't know. There was a space between the wall and the dumpster that a lot of teenagers used to hang out behind. On the other side of the wall was the playground, and a few yards to the left of the dumpster was a large field. So we're enjoying our time when this truck pulled up. There were 2 men in it. I got a really bad feeling. I told my cousin we should probably head home. My cousin insisted it was nothing, so I shook it off and kept playing in the snow. The men got out of the truck and went behind the dumpster. My cousin reassured me it was not a big deal because, like I said, a lot of people went back there. That's when they started yelling, saying things like,
Woo, this is gonna be fun.
Even at age 11, I was paranoid. Come on, let's go home, please. She said they're not even talking to us, just ignore them. She was in 7th grade, so I listened to her. Until we heard them scream,
What are you girls doing here all alone? Where are your parents? You're here all by yourself?
Chills ran down my spine. I was so scared. My cousin and I looked at each other and automatically started walking really fast through the field to head home. The men came out from behind the dumpster and started yelling,
Where you girls going? We just want to talk to y'all.
We were terrified. Our fast walk turned into a sprint. We got to the sidewalk and that's when we heard the truck door slam. My heart sank and I started crying. They peeled out of the parking lot. All I could think is we were about to get taken. The truck was making its way toward us. Knowing someone on almost every block ended up saving mine and my cousin's life. I had a friend that lived across the street from the school. All we had to do was cut across the small neighborhood intersection and we would be there. The truck caught up to us as soon as we crossed the intersection. They slowed down and the man on the passenger side rolled his window down.
Why are you girls running? We just want to have some fun with y'all.
Oh, fucking gross. The truck came to a stop, but we had made it. We ran up to the door and started yelling for help and ringing the doorbell. The truck sped off. We were safe. We told my friend and her parents what happened, and my mom came and picked us up. We were so scared we couldn't even remember any details about the truck or the men. All I knew, I would never go to the park alone again. If I didn't think to run up to my friend's house, I don't know if I would be here. If the men had caught up to us before crossing the intersection, I don't even want to imagine what would have happened. I don't know what the two men were planning on doing to us, but I know it wasn't good. So, to the two men that ruined my snow day and scared me shitless, let's not meet. What are you doing? What are these people doing? I just can't comprehend. I think that's going to do it for today. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? But I think that's going to do it for today. I had so much fun filming. I really missed it. So I'm excited to do more of this. I think I'm going to do a lot more of these like storytelling videos. Next time, I think I'm going to go for maybe like the Reddit no sleep section or just something. I want to go more paranormal next time. I don't think I've dabbled in that yet. I only did one other video where I was reading like Reddit stories. So I want to hear some like ghost stories, like demon stories. Oh, why'd I go out of focus? And when? Hey, hello, I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Hey, I'm trying to wrap up and do my... I'm just trying to finish. Okay, that took a good, 5 minutes for me to get back in focus for some reason. I don't know how to use this camera, so I was struggling. But I find the paranormal to be very fascinating, so I think that's my goal for next video. My dog is waking up if you're hearing all these little noises. Hi, CB girl. Anyway... Thanks so much for watching, and thank you to those of you who have stayed subscribed, even though I went on a 3-month hiatus for no apparent reason. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe if you haven't yet. Any love I get is very appreciated. I just need some friends, so do you want to be friends? Hit the subscribe button. I'm starting to get weird, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you have a great night or day whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I have an idea. Hold on. I want to see my shirt a little. I want to see I don't want it to just be gray. I like the orange Jordan. I don't know. Maybe I need a cuter shirt. I don't know. What do you think? I already did my intro and stuff, so forget it. I'm going to the hospital since it was the only major I just mixed major and medical. Fuck. Oh, sorry, Sophie. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm going to the hospital since it was the only major Why do I keep wanting to say major hospital since it was the only major... I almost fucking said it again. Major medical facility. Major medical. Because I want to... Sorry, I'm looking something up. Just making sure I use the word hiatus correctly. Yeah, I did. So we hardly ever get snow days. Come on, don't yawn, bitch.